Hello and welcome to another episode of the DTF podcast.
Hey, I got a bone to pick.
Guys, I am so fired up.
Sleep deprived and all. I'm happy to be here.
You probably cut up your hot dog. You don't need it on a bun.
Providence sucks.
I actually think they're going to be pretty good. Low key.
I'm just kidding. This as soon as we start recording.
Yeah. Providence sucks. All right.
Then he could say that he called it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
In 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to another episode of the DTF podcast here on the Field of 68 Media Network. My name is Rob Dawson. I got Terrence Oglesby with me, a certified Big East guy. And we got John Fanti here with us, who might be on Football Night in America on NBC on Sundays now, but he is still at his core a certified Big East guy. And we are going to be breaking down the Big East basketball conference today. Fanti, I'm not going to lie. My favorite thing in the world is that you're doing these big, huge, massive broadcasts with NBC, and then at like 3:00 on a Tuesday, you jump on a Spaces for the Big East and get yelled at by a bunch of maniacs from the Northeast, and it's just like, all right, what am I doing?
Let's
go.
Go.
This is the Big East, baby. Let's go.
Let's go. Not gonna let go of the core roots, the core values, the start, the fans that make it what it is. Look, the Big East is still humming along, and this is a league that got 5 teams to the NCAA tournament last year, despite in November and December, if I gave them a report card, I would have given them a D-.
Oh.
That's how rough it was in non-conference play. So this league has to get off its mat actually in the non-conference. That's a big storyline right off the top. But yeah, of course I'm going to interact with the fans and engage with the fans. Now, living in New Jersey, I feel like it's like part of the DNA, this combative, we're going to crush you, but words worse than that. That's the way that this league is. It's the way it's always going to be. And you know what, guys? This is a conference that it's really interesting, right, in the big picture of college basketball, because in a world where the Big Ten, the Big 12, the SEC, and the ACC have sort of broken off into their own group of we're the mighty, we're the strong, we're the tough, and rightfully so. All those leagues in their own ways are deep and have more schools. What happens in the offseason? And then we'll talk about all the basketball. The Big East, Val Ackerman goes to these leagues and says, I just want to make sure that when you have discussions about the state of the sport, that we have as much weight at that table as you. And they got that done. That was kind of for those who might not have read it or seen it, Tio, I think you and I talked about this a little bit over the summer. They got that done. The point is, I think in a world of college hoops where there's been a lot of change and expansion and some matchups that were like, how is that a real matchup in January or February? You still can say about the Big East, you know what to get. It's like that restaurant that you go to. It's all you know the menu well, and the league again heading into this year has multiple national championship contenders. And when you're only 11 teams, that's a good sign.
Yep. All right, so let's get into it. The way we're going to format this preview, start off, there's 5 things to know that I have written down here, and you can tell me if these things are incorrect, but we'll start with number 1, and it's that, T.O., it's UConn versus St. John's, not just for the Big East crown, potentially for a national title, and for the right to call themselves the kings of the Northeast. You got the battle between Rick Pitino and Dan Hurley. It's everything you want out of a rivalry in this conference, in this league. I don't know if there's 2 guys that kind of represent what Big East basketball is more than Rick Pitino and Dan Hurley. They don't like each other. They're going to play nice. They're going to pretend to be friends, but it's going to be an absolute hornet's nest in the Madison Square Garden when they play, in the Gamble Pavilion when they play, and hopefully in a Big East tournament title game when they play.
Hey, Doster, is that a home game for St. John's or a home game for UConn? Because okay, just checking to see what your thoughts were on that one. No, it's those 2 and everybody else. Even though I'm going to be honest with you guys, like, more you look at Creighton's lineup, there's a lot of underrated transfers there. Not the loud, splashy ones, but there's some underrated pieces there. But I digress. I think St. John's is going to be awesome. Ian Jackson's finally going to be allowed to go where he should have been allowed to go last year at North Carolina. He just wasn't. And then they just added some other pieces around that are just really, really good. And people keep talking about the lack of a true point guard. Who cares? Do you think Russ Smith was a true point guard? No.
Peyton Siva was, though.
Smith.
Peyton
I played
Siva
with
was.
Russ.
That's where I pushed back.
I played with Russ Smith in the G League, and the dude couldn't even pass gas. He didn't pass shit ever. He was a terrible passer. Didn't pass once for like 3 weeks. He'd show up 30 minutes before tip off, go to the employee eating area, and then go and shoot 40 shots. Not passing. Peyton Siva, I'll give it to him a little bit. He was more of like a get downhill, see if I can finish, and I'm trying to score first. He's always like Pitino's always dealt with guys like that. What's the use of a pure point guard? Who cares? If you want to slow it down, call a play. If you want to slow it down, call a play. As long as you have a bunch of guys that are fairly unselfish, okay, I can live with that. I'm not worried at all about that. I know that was a point that was brought up by some people over the course of the summer when all these transfers were coming in, and most notably Rob Doster, because he just wants St. John's to suck. But like outside of that, like I don't see a problem with it at all. At all.
Interesting. Fanta, where do you weigh in?
Well, I think that with St. John's, Dylan Darling is going to end up playing a very key role for this team, and needs to. And Jackson, to me, that's just it. What Terrence said. This is a guy who at one point through a 7-game stretch averaged over 20 a game. And then North Carolina, I think that they could have been smarter in how they utilized him and how they ran their offense, because it was pretty clear that he was a bucket and that he could be a stud. Well, now you have the star whisperer, this guy who, if you buy in, he's going to make you a superstar. He's going to make you money. Mm-hmm. And that's why, to me, the way I see it, if Ian Jackson, Bryce Hopkins, and Zuby Ejiofor all play to the level that they're capable of, man, St. John's going to be really difficult to beat. Now, Hopkins is an if, because we've barely seen Bryce Hopkins for the majority of the last 2 years. And it's been so long to see him perform at the level he's capable of. Yes, it is a fair question to say, what are we going to see out of this kid?
Yes.
We don't know. We know that, I know this much, Dylan Mitchell was a great get. Mm-hmm. Because he doesn't need the ball in his hands to impact the game, and that's perfect for a Pitino team.
He's different than everyone else they have on the roster, right? He's different than everybody else.
Yes, he's going to win them a game just by virtue of.
He'll be on help side and come over and block a shot at the end. Maybe even when they're playing UConn. You never know.
Terrence is. I'm just waiting for Rob to counter here, because Rob's been setting us up here, and he's going to counter here at some point. Joe Sannon, sneaky get as well. I mean, I like him, and Osiah Sellers too. Look, they've got depth. Ruben Prey might be the most underrated piece on the roster.
Yes.
That kid at the end of last year was really starting to play some good ball. Oh, by the way, he hit a 3. I mean, he's got a really unique skill set. Ejiofor, the only thing you say is, like, when you have that much turnover, does the guy still fit in? There's a difference now between being an absolute star on a team and then when you bring in brand new pieces to then play around a guy. Does everything still fit puzzle piece wise, or does he get a little away about him and it's like not the same exact player? So if that makes sense. So I want to see that. But look, UConn's got more continuity. Mm-hmm. St. John's presents more intrigue because of the amount of new. But man,
because it's Pitino. Like the bottom line is this.
Yeah, but it's Hurley on the other side. It's a Hurley who exited the first round. So I have a real hard time handicapping who's number one in this league. You know how they're going to decide it? They're going to play one another. And they're going to do it twice. And God, I hope they do it 3 times.
Yes. The bottom line is this with St. John's. Like it's Rick Pitino, and he's got a shitload of talent. At the end of the day, when Rick Pitino has a shitload of talent, he had a roster that couldn't shoot the ball outside of 8 feet last year, and he won the Big East by multiple games, won the Big East tournament, and was a top 10 team in America. And now he's got a whole bunch of guys that can shoot and a couple dudes that can go out there and really, really defend and rebound. And if you're going to tell me you got that roster and Rick Pitino, he's probably going to figure it out well enough. I think that this is and look, maybe I'm biased. Maybe I'm putting on my UConn tinted glasses. I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but there's a magazine cover signed by Khalid El-Amin right there from the first time UConn won a championship, right? Like I am a UConn fan, and I might be biased.
No kidding.
But I think that the level of continuity you have coming back is what you want. I think that Solo Ball is ready to turn into like a Jordan Hawkins level star. I think that Terrace Reed figured some things out this year. And if he's able to process the game the way that Sonogo did when he made his leap from sophomore to junior year, then you're looking at an all Big East talent. I think that Braylon Mullins is going to step in and be an impact player right away. And he might also start on the bench because Jalen Stewart has had a real improvement. They really, really like what they see out of him. I think that Silas Demery coming in and playing the Tristan Newton role is going to be a game changer. And he's going to be like a first team all Big East caliber impact kind of a guy, right? And all that said, we still haven't gotten to Alex Caravan, who's been like the best fifth man in college basketball the 2 years they won the national championship. So I think you put all that together, the dots are easier to connect for me with UConn. I think you can make an argument that there might be more talent on the St. John's roster. I think you can make an argument there's a better coach on the sideline for St. John's, although that coach hasn't won back-to-back national championships like the guy on the sideline for UConn. I say all that to say this. I can't wait for it, man. Like, this is what you want, right? Like, you want two massive programs that are right next to each other, that play in these two huge buildings, that have a real, genuine dislike for each other between the programs and the staffs and the players. I can't wait. It's everything you want out of college basketball. I'm so fired up that they play twice. I love the fact that they put those games in February when it matters. And if they play for a championship in the Big East tournament, regardless of where I am, I might even get the PJ, T.O. I might rent your PJ. I might let you
I don't have a PJ.
I might let you lend me your private jet, your private G6. What's that line for? I rewatched Entourage the other way. Nah, G6 whisper quiet. You let me borrow your G6, Teal?
I don't know those lyrics because I've never been on one. So
all
anyway,
right.
no, hey, look, that was the only two spots they replaced, right? Was point guard. Kind of going back to it.
That like they needed it. They needed it.
Yeah, they did need it. They did need it. And I think, I read an article Hurley was talking the other day where he wants them to play more in flow and more kind of like, I want our guys to not rely so much on sets. And a lot of that's a lot easier if you have somebody to ease everybody's mind when you get them the ball. What do we call it? A settle down guy. They got a couple of them now. They needed that. And I kind of like the differences between the two guys. Malachi Smith, who's been injured. I've seen him play at Dayton a few times. Small, tough as nails. But I think he could be a nice little change of pace in what he is compared to our guy who transferred up from Georgia, Demery. But it's they needed that. And if you're wanting to play more in flow and let things happen a little bit more organically, you have to have somebody to get guys in the right spots without you calling that thing out.
Yep.
So
that's
kind of where, you see the yin and the yang a little bit with, St. John's doesn't necessarily have that, but they're going to rely on their pressure anyway. So they're going to try to play quick because of what they're doing out in the passing lanes on defense. Yep. Whereas UConn, go ahead, Fantha.
Go ahead.
No, I mean, where it's UConn, it's like you're gonna get out and get steals, sure, but you're gonna be more position based. You're gonna really be more physical. And I'm not saying be tighter into the paint because that's not necessarily the case. They're gonna push the offense out a little bit further with their physicality. So, having a couple of point guards that can get you in some of these flow actions and like that really changes the dynamic of how you have to guard UConn. To where last year Hassan Diarra was fine, but he wasn't somebody who was
a change of pace guy.
He wasn't somebody that was calming in mind and calming for the rest of the team. So I think you get that with these two new guys.
Yep. As you know by now, we have teamed up with BetMGM again this season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we will have special offers for Field of 68 fans, including same-game parlays, best-in-class live betting, and daily odds boost. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD to get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. You download the BetMGM app, you sign up using bonus code FIELD, you deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use that bonus code FIELD when you sign up. Make this college basketball season one for the history books. Make it legendary. And don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD and get your $1,500 first bet offer today. The college basketball season will begin right here on the Field of 68. At 8 a.m. on November 3rd, we will be tipping off the inaugural Field of 68 opening day marathon. 15 hours of non-stop basketball. It will begin in Rock Hill, presented by our friends at Visit York County. Plan your itinerary today at visityorkcounty.com. Winthrop will face off with Queens in the opener, followed by Bradley taking on St. Bonaventure. Then we head out to Sioux Falls, South Dakota, where it'll be presented by Sanford Sports, who is changing the way people play and making sports accessible and fun for all. Murray State gets Omaha at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, with Drake taking on Northern Arizona in the second game in Sioux Falls. Then it's back to Rock Hill for a showdown between Furman and High Point, with Merrimack taking on South Dakota State in Sioux Falls in the nightcap. Tickets for all 6 games are on sale now at the links in the description below. Field of 68, opening day. All right, the second thing to know, number 2, we're going out to Omaha. Tio, you mentioned it a little bit earlier. You like Creighton. You like what they have. This might be the last run for Greg McDermott. It sounds like he thinks he's going to have 2 more years, but I mean, who knows with in this day and age. They already have their coaching waiting set up with Alan Huss, but they went out and they got Nick Graves from Charlotte. They got Josh Dix and Owen Freeman from Iowa. Owen's been a little bit banged up, but he should be ready to go at the start of the season. Blake Harper from Howard was one of the most productive freshmen. They really like the kid, Karam Conan, coming in from Turkey. They think he has a chance to be able to push Owen Freeman, maybe even play together with him. Your boy,
Alexa Dimitrievich was really good in spots, like very small increments at the World Championships. Like, he's talented too.
Yep. And then Jackson McAndrew and Jason Green are back as well. T.O., tell me why you like Creighton.
Did you say Hudson Greer? I'm sorry if I blanked over that.
I did not.
Talented player.
Yeah.
Oof, really good. And has the demeanor where he's going to be able to contribute sooner rather than later, because he can shoot it. He's tough. He's got bounce. I was looking up and down at their transfers. They took 5. I saw Nick Graves last year at East Carolina, and he was really good despite his team being really bad. Like, he just kind of found tough ways to score. And I'm going to be honest, like, my last year playing, I played on a really bad team in Sweden. It was a poorly coached team. And the guy is older now. So if he ever comes back and listens, he's older now. He's smarter now. But he was young coach coming up. We had a couple of really bad players. One of our wings thought he was all world, and he just sucked.
Gee,
it's real.
I hope they don't listen.
I don't care if they do, but he knows this. He's told me this later. But like,
He told you, he said to you, I sucked.
yeah. So
what were you?
He was humble.
You didn't suck.
No, well, I wasn't great, but I also averaged 16 a game, 4-4, or 3-3, or whatever it was. So like, it was fine. I was just okay. And we lost a ton of games.
You're telling me you averaged 3 assists for an entire season?
Well, I would drop kick it by accident into a guy who had hit a layup after I was getting triple teamed. So let's say this, like, it is really hard to be good when times are bad. And sometimes, like, a guy like Nick Graves, and they were not very good. He was always solid, always made the right play in spite of his teammates not being very good. So, like, I'm excited to see what he does with better teammates. Blake Harper's a guy that's kind of flown under the radar. He was at Howard last year. He was at Conference's Player of the Year as a freshman. Didn't belong at that level, but he grew late. So, like, he kind of fell through the cracks. And then Austin Swartz, we all saw him play for Boo Williams a couple of years ago. commits to Miami. This is a guy that can really shoot it, can really
Mhm.
score it. And then but he went to Miami and that was a dumpster fire. And I'm not sure it was any of his fault. So you look at the guys they brought in. I'll be honest. I think this team competes at a pretty high level with those top two, if not just kind of peeking around the corner. It's such a McDermott, unassuming thing to be like, well, it's just UConn and St. John's, and we're all just trying to hang on. That we're just, meanwhile, he's going to have a couple of killers in his back pocket ready to go. I think they're going to be really tough to defend because they can shoot it. The rim protection is going to be different, but I think they're really good.
Fanta?
It's really just amazing that you can walk into pretty much every season for the better part of the last decade plus. And you would say the Creighton Blue Jays are going to be a contender. They're going to be for real. They're going to be a factor. This program, I think, in my time covering the Big East, has had 1 year where I was like, yeah, they're just not good. They're just down this year. Greg McDermott has done an incredible job. And let's first, in a world where coaches are saying, you know what, I'm done, or I don't have it in me anymore, or I'm going to hang it up. And that's for a whole different podcast and different discussion point. You got to give credit to McDermott because he doesn't have this big, uncontrollable ego. It's kind of funny because he's the one guy I think who gets along equally as well with Dan Hurley and Rick Pitino. He's probably the one guy in the Big East, maybe the one guy in all the country.
It's very hard to not get along with Greg McDermott.
Yeah, both those guys see him and they're like, it's good to see my Midwest friend.
They call him, he calls him Big Mac.
Yeah, it's good to see my Midwest friend. That's exactly what McDermott sort of is, and he's got this great way about him. And I think it's received in Omaha, and I think it's so well. And I think what's interesting is he said this to me before. He's changed the expectations there. Mm-hmm. Their fans are thinking okay, how do we get to a Sweet 16? How do we get to a Final Four? How do we do it? Well, here's the thing. That program, Alan Huss, now gets to sit there every day like he did before with Greg McDermott, and he could just take. He's going to be as prepared as he possibly could be to be the next head coach of that program. And you think their recruiting is going to slow down? You think their money's going to slow down?
No, he was cooking at High Point.
Yeah, I think it gets better with us. All due respect to Mac, I think it gets better with us.
So watch out. I mean, this is a monster in the Midwest, and they've got something different to present than the schools around them, I think, because of just where they're positioned. Omaha is a real town, and it's got a lot of fever and a lot of intrigue. And
it's a cool little town.
Yeah, Mac would say, once I get a kid here, it's over. I just got to get them out here because the kid's family says Omaha, Nebraska. Where am I? Once you get in here, in terms of the team, I think it lies. The two Iowa transfers are so crucial. They bring Big Ten experience to the fold. The question is, when you lose a player of Ryan Kalkbrenner's stature and impact, how do you compensate for that? Well,
you can't.
You can't.
You can't.
But you got to play differently. But Creighton,
Hornets, baby. Hornets, baby.
It's
Hornets,
funny,
baby.
Because I would argue Creighton played differently with Kalkbrenner than they actually have with some of their other successful teams. So it's almost like Rob, you know this, T.O., I think you know this to a degree. It's almost like when you play an ace pitcher in baseball, and then the next day you play you're going up against the number 2 or the number 3, and it takes you 2 or 3 innings to get used to his arm slot because you just faced this one. I think it's going to take opponents a chance. Coaches got to watch more film of Creighton early because they're going to look different. They're going to play a little bit different, but they can space you out defensively. They're going to get open shots, and it's a matter of those open shots falling. I like Graves. I think Blake Harper, I trust Mac's ability to get a player to go from a Howard to a high major and to get them recalibrated to that level. To me, Jackson McAndrew is the sleeper in the Big East. I think he's due for a big breakout sophomore year. I want to see if Fedor Zugic can take that next step. Jason Green's got to be more consistent. When Jason Green is good, Creighton has had a terrific track record over the last 2 years. This team should be a top 25 team, and you're going to see a number next to their name, I think, for a good portion of the year. It might be like 22, it might be like 24, but they're going to be playing a role. By the way, I love the way Mac schedules. He's got Gonzaga, he's got Kansas. They're in the players era. They schedule, man. That gets them ready for the league. If you remember, Rob, last year, remember Creighton during non-league? They were not good. Mm-hmm. They were not good. And they had Pop Isaacs had a horrible injury. And what happened? They still made the tournament, and they won a game. They crushed Louisville.
Yeah, I know. I've heard about that quite a bit. Quite a bit. All right. Thing to know number 3 is Shaka Smart has fully gone anti-portal. Didn't add a transfer. I think the only 2 guys he lost were the 2 guys at the end of his bench. He didn't lose anybody he didn't want to lose. And it's a very difficult spot for me to look at and say this is the right way to do it, because you're coming off of a year where you lose all-world Cam Jones, and the year before that you lost everything Tyler Kolek and everything Oso Ighodaro, and you're not supplementing what you have. I love what he's trying to do with the player development within this program, but I do think that there is a world where you need to be able to supplement like UConn does, like Purdue did, to be able to find 1 or 2 players that fill the gaps that you're missing. So I think it's a risk, but I love that he's doing it this way. Does that make sense? Like, I think he's taking a risk doing this. I love that he's doing it the way that he's doing it, and he's saying, fuck it, I'm just going to do what I do. This is the way that I want to do it. I don't care what anybody says. T.O., is it going to work? Are we going to look up in February and say, yeah, you know what, Shaka Smart's betting on his own player development and betting on the in-house stuff was a bet that paid off?
I think it where the point's going to go, somebody's going to score. It's not like they're going to score 30 points. Like, somebody's going to score. And my bet is, guys, it goes to Demarius Owens. I think he could be the next guy for Marquette. They were really high on him early last season, and it kind of took him a little bit, but it goes somewhere. The fact that they get Sean Jones back helps. You want another hard-nosed guard. They went and got Nigel James, who I'm pretty sure was committed somewhere else. Wasn't he? He was committed to Providence, I think. Or that
Nigel,
was like
Nigel, I thought was always heading to Marquette.
I think like his junior year he was committed elsewhere.
Oh.
I could be wrong. But the toughness is still there. The foundation has already been laid. These guys know where they're supposed to be and when they're supposed to be there. It's just a matter of replacing that scoring. And that just means somebody else is getting the shots. So it's a look back into yesteryear. And at the same time, I think there's enough there, and I think there's enough untapped potential that could turn into, hey, it's here now. That could come this year. And I think one of them is going to be Demarius Owens. And I think another one, guys, like, you look at Ben Gold and what he was able to do last year. He averaged 7 and 4, which a lot of us thought it was going to be much more. He still shot like 37% from 3 on almost 3 attempts. It's not like he was completely inept. It was just, we've seen the skill set, so we expect a little bit more. Could that be kind of a stepping stone for a big jump his senior season? Could be. It's got to go somewhere. We'll see where it goes. As far as supplementing, why not supplement in-house? You've been able to hold on to guys. I think a large portion of this stuff comes down to, like, teams are like, well, we have to replace this. That's because those guys are leaving. Well, they're not even leaving for Marquette. So unless they're asked to leave, or basically not nudged, but nudged. Unless they're nudged out, it's kind of, keep it in-house.
So from what I've kind of gathered is that they're very high on Demarius Owens. He was banged up over the summer, so they don't know if the liftoff is going to be early or late this season. It might end up being next year. They're high on Royce Parham too, as a guy that could take a jump. Fancy player for Marquette.
Oh, I mean, Royce Parham, they don't win the game in Maryland last year without him. And he played a key role in that game, played a key role in some other games too, got better, and he's not the same type of player. No one really is as an Oso Ighodaro, but he is a guy he's a floor spacer who's, if his body continues to build and he continues to do the right things, he can really be a weapon that causes problems for a defense. Look, with Marquette, they need Chase Ross to be the star that they want him to be. It's his time. He has been building up for this point, and now he gets the keys to this car. They're going to go as far as he takes them. They need Sean Jones to stay healthy. They need Sean Jones to be a pace changer. Sean is a guy that can really jet in transition. He actually creates transition himself. What happens, Terrence, when your team, at least heading into the year, okay, but more than likely doesn't have this a ton of NBA talent, but you still Shaka Smart's gone 98 and 41 over his first 4 years. So you're expected to win games. What do you have to do to create some more scoring opportunities? You better have some runners.
Yep, you better play fast. You better get out in the passing lanes. All of which what Marquette can do.
I think they're going to be fun to watch. I think they're going to create havoc. And I think they're going to have to be a team that does that. Havoc, does that sound familiar with the Shaka Smart team? It might be a little vintage. Might be a little vintage. It might be just the way that they need to go about it. But you know what? This is why, again, Shaka at Marquette is such a perfect fit. Because he wasn't doing that at Texas, and it was against his roots. It was against like his firm beliefs. It was just, let me get somebody with X amount of stars next to their name, and then we're going to win. It's different than that. And he's built an elite culture. Ben Gold cannot disappear for 3 games and then play 1 good game and then disappear for 2 games.
Yep.
Zay
100%.
Lowry, something tells me he's going to be a real good player for this team this year and a guy that takes that next step. They just have to. The 2 concerns I have is they're going to be smaller, and so how do they compete on the boards? And what happens when that offense is stuck in the half court? We talk about early season games that matter. Early season games that matter. I'm going to give you one here in this league for Marquette. Home, second Saturday of November, home to Buzz Williams and Maryland. Talk about an early measuring stick. Oh, by the way, Buzz Williams is going back to Marquette, Rob. Did that end well?
Not very well. I don't know how many friends he has in Milwaukee right now. So that'll be interesting.
Athlete AI is the story of the athlete. And every athlete deserves to have his story told. Under the lights and in the spotlight. This is your moment, your rule. Download, capture, create, share. Athlete AI. Your name is trending.
There is no sport in America that is more difficult to follow than college basketball. It can be overwhelming. That's where the Field of 68 Daily comes into play. The Daily is your go-to source for injury updates, recruiting news, and transfer portal additions that actually matter. For just $50 a year, get access to the same information that your favorite team's coaching staff is subscribed for. Quality content can be hard to find in the college basketball space. The Daily is here to help you with that. Thing to know, number 4 for me is I think it's put up or shut up time for both Kim English and Ed Cooley. And I like that might be a little bit harsh in the way that I'm phrasing there, but it's year 3 for Ed at Georgetown. He's had a chance to be able to kind of get his feet under him there. We need to see some improvement. We need to see a step forward. And then with Kim, I'll tell you guys this. I think Providence has a chance to be a tournament team this year. I think there's a very real world where they're the 3rd best team in the Big East this season on paper. I think what they've put together, Jason Edwards coming in from Vanderbilt, Jalen Sellers coming in from UCF, Duncan Powell coming in, Oswin's back, Corey Floyd at the point. They got a couple of sophomores that I think could take a step forward. Ryan Mila specifically. I really like Jameer Jones, some of the freshmen they have. I think this is the year. If Kim is as good,
if it's going to happen, if it's going to happen,
it's got to be this year. I mean, outside of UConn and St. John's, it's not like there's any kind of crazy talent. 3, 4, 5. You have the ability. You have the pieces. If Kimmy is what we thought he was when he was hired, he's going to have a very good year this year. Like 23, 24 wins, make a tournament, maybe even win a game. Is that crazy to say for either of those two?
Well, Providence, the pressure is on there, and that's because of the fact that the irony here is first off, the irony is just how much these two schools are somehow connected in a lot of storylines, and that's just
forever. As long as those two are the head coaches,
it's going to go.
Yeah, as long as those two are the head coaches, it's going to be connected. It just is.
Yes, but the ironic side of this is that the reason why there's so much pressure on Providence is because of what they were before Kim English got the Providence job.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying. They're spending the money. They have the fans. They have the venue. They have all the pieces to be great, to be a real factor in this league every single year. And year one, obviously there was an injury to Hopkins that hurt their upside. Year two, there was the elephant in the room that was Hopkins. So there's no more Hopkins there. And you could play blame game all you want, but at the end of the day, it's ultimately up to the head coach to win games. And when you look at their roster, Jalen Sellers, Jason Edwards, those guys can be studs. Duncan Powell was this perfect Providence get. The Shag Man is going to make a lot of friends. He already has.
He's got a friend right here. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, we're going to get to you in a second because I know you love him. And then I think in the front court, that's the big question. Can Oswin Arumse be this guy that's just going to be? I think he will be. I like him a lot, and I want to see what he does as a sophomore. And Cole Hargrove, to me, was a sleeper get for the Friars coming over from Drexel. He's good for 5 fouls. He's going to be tough. He's going to defend. Ryan Mila's back. Corey Floyd's back. If Edwards and Sellers can click, then PC should be a tournament team. Providence should be a tournament team. Plain and simple. Talk about other key dates to circle. The Friars, 6 days into the season. 6 days into the season, they play Mike Young in Virginia Tech. Coach Young's got some pressure on him down there in Blacksburg. That's a game for both those schools. I almost liken it to like college football where some of these early season games you're like, yeah, that's going to swing their season one way or the other. Crucial early season neutral game. The Friars should be a tournament team. Georgetown, let's face it here. The reason why there's a lot of pressure on Ed Cooley, but guys, the reason why there's not even more pressure is because of what Georgetown was before he got that job.
Mm-hmm.
It was
I'm sorry, guy. Yeah, you're right. Pat did not do a good job.
No.
Georgetown has only had one season better than what they had last year in the 10 years prior. One. They won 18 games last year, gentlemen. The year before that, they won 9. And didn't he had a hard time? If there's pressure on Ed Cooley, what do we? There needs to be a reevaluation.
Well, there's pressure, but I don't think Rob's saying he's going to lose his job.
Yeah,
okay.
that's not. I'm not saying he's going to get fired, but I'm saying there's
different forms of pressure. The pressures are different.
He doubled his total win total from the first year, and he quadrupled his conference wins from year 1 to year 2 at Georgetown. Mm-hmm. Quadrupled them. If you're looking at the rosters at face value right now, who are you taking, Georgetown or Providence?
Providence.
You've lost your freaking mind.
Providence.
You've both lost your mind.
All right, tell us why.
You've both lost your mind. Let's look up and down. KJ Lewis, you think he fits what Cooley had whenever he had his really good teams at Providence? Wide-shouldered, strong as a bull, linebacker type mentality defensively. Does he fit? Seems like
it.
Langston Love, a guy that has been really talented, was a former top 30 prospect in his class. Went to Baylor, had some up and down time. Does he not just scream a guy that Cooley?
He was injured. He was injured the whole time at Baylor. Yeah.
Fine. Up and down. He had some moments where he was good. Does he not just scream a guy that Ed Cooley just takes in and nurtures a little bit and then ends up averaging like 15 points a game?
Okay.
Yeah, he does. Jeremiah Williams, another defensive-minded guard who's going to get out in the passing lanes, long arms. There was a left-handed guy, I think, a few years ago, played at Providence, kind of has the same body type. What was his name? Durham. It's kind of the same guy. Harris Smith, Maryland transfer, was good at Maryland at times. Like Iwochukwu, defensive presence. He always has a good vibe.
They've been saying
Isaiah
really
Abraham, who when I watched it at the Global Jam was playing well. Guys, what are we talking about?
Here's where I'll push back.
Okay, there's a lot of what ifs there. There's some what ifs.
Georgetown is better than Providence.
Okay,
so then Georgetown's making the tournament then.
I think they're close.
here's
I
where I'll
think
push
this
back
is
on
the
that.
year Ed Cooley gets above 500 in league and he's above 20 wins.
Hey, look,
I can't assume the same thing with Providence. You know why? Because I was looking at the last 2 years. 9-23 year one under Ed Cooley, 18-16 in the following year. Conference records 2-18 year one of Ed Cooley, 8-12 second year. Kim English, 21-14 year one, 12-20 year two. 10-10 goes 500 in conference, 6-14 year two.
I will say where your argument's got some point, where your argument has merit is Georgetown did manage. They did manage to go 0-3 against DePaul.
I don't care about that.
And
No, I'm
here's,
saying,
I care about
I'm
the
actually
final
helping
thing.
you.
They'll beat the call. Plus,
I'm
Chris
helping
Holtman
you.
does a nice job. They could shoot it.
won
Last
8
year, they
games.
couldn't shoot it.
No, I'm saying they won 8 conference games and none of them came against DePaul.
yeah. Here's what I'll say to all that. 2 things, and then we'll move on. Okay. One, the argument was who has a better roster, not who has a roster that is better for the coach that they have. I agree with what you said about all those pieces. But if you're lining them up,
whoa. This goes back to the point: like, is a guy a good player on a losing team, or is he just like does he help you win, or is he just a good player?
So we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
To me, it's not. And hey, look, fan of Duncan Powell, fan of those guys that Providence brought in, but we're comparing apples to apples right now. I'm picking Georgetown out of the 2.
I'm picking. Okay,
Georgetown.
The other thing I'll say is, yes, 18-16, 8-12 in the Big East. He also had the number 15 pick in the country in Thomas Sorber and the number 40 pick in the NBA draft in Micah Peavy.
Okay, Micah Peavy, fine. Thomas Sorber, I'm going to be honest with you guys. First time I saw him, I did not think NBA draft pick. Like,
He was.
He's but you also got to be put. You got to be put in position. Yep. If any of that stuff matters, you have to be put in position by a guy who knows what the hell he's doing. Like,
hey, Fanta, do you think CL likes Georgetown more than Providence, or Providence more than Georgetown?
I don't want any Hoya paranoia. I don't want any of that. Keep being transparent as you are. Maybe get outside of that.
All right, let's not take shots.
Outside, I don't.
Why are you taking a shot?
Georgetown's going to be really good. I think they're above 20 wins and they're flirting with the tournament. Don't you dare edit that out either, Doster.
Thing number 5. Kevin Willard takes over at Villanova. It's your boy, Fanta. K. Willard, Villanova. It's honestly, when it comes to like personalities, that is a weird fit. Kevin Willard at Villanova.
Yep. But then you think about the fact that what is his job? His job is to build rosters. It's to fundraise and to do all that. And he's at a place where they like to golf and they like to consume Merlot, and that really fits him well. So that's perfect for him. Those boxes are checked.
As long as they don't have any photo booths, right?
Yes, that's right. The roster is really intriguing from a standpoint of I'm just curious to see how they play. I think we know one thing with Willard. When February rolls around, his team will be playing to the best level that they can play at. Like, he is that good. He's a really good coach at grooming his teams and getting them ready for the best time of year. The question is, can they figure it out early enough to not stumble and then therefore have a chance? Now, gone is Eric Dixon. Like, when we talk about departures, you lost your all-time leading scorer. And so now you're in a position where Duke Brennan comes in from Grand Canyon. They seem to be high on Tafara Gapare, who comes over
He's
with
talented, man.
From Maryland. They are high on him. They say he's the kid that nobody's talking about. Well, on the DTF pod, we are talking about Tafara Gapare, and his athleticism and his length and his muscle, he could be a real factor for this team. There's also birds that are telling me that they think a Caden Lewis could be a one and done, that he has pleasantly surprised them, and that there's a world where they don't think they're going to keep him very long. I think what they end up being is determined by, like, can Bryce Lindsey and Zion Stanford, along with Devin Askew, who's been everywhere, can two of those guys click, I don't think there's any question. Like, we know how desperate Villanova was to get Matthew Hodge eligible for them last year. Now he is, and I expect him to be a player. Like, they really wanted that kid to be eligible last year for a reason. He could have saved Kyle Neptune his job. Things could have gone differently, but Hodge had some weird eligibility issues due to some academic credits transferring over. But now he is a Villanova Wildcat.
Mm-hmm.
This team is there's two teams in this league that I'm most curious to watch play on opening night. You know, they're the two synergy teams on the first game they play. It's this Villanova team and it's Richard Pitino's Xavier team, because I need to see how the personnel comes together. I need to see what it looks like. I'm not saying that they're good or that they're great. I just don't know how you're going to play. Like, I got to look at what do you look like when you have this much new? And those are the two teams that I'm most curious about. But Villanova is certainly, can they be a factor in this league? Yeah, they can, because they got a coach on the sidelines who knows this league front and back. His teams play hard. The question for Nova is, when they're going to have to play smaller, are they good enough as a shot-making team to do that?
Theo?
I agree. I think they'll be firmly in the middle of the Big East.
Fair enough.
I don't have much to say. I'm happy Caden Lewis is there. He's really talented. Devin asked you how he's still in freaking college. I don't know. That's kind of his last shot at glory there. That'd be nice to see him play well. I don't know if we ever will see him play well, but hopefully we get to see him play well.
I've heard good things about him.
I've heard good things about him since 2018.
Yep. Fair enough.
So, like,
you're not even exaggerating either.
I'm not. So
no, he is a grown man. I graduated college in 2017.
Yeah. And he was coming in as a freshman, I think. No,
to Cal, right? To Kentucky.
Yeah, he went to go to Kentucky, and that was the year that I think he was on that team where they were awful, I think. Anyway,
yeah,
his freshman year was 2021.
Was he with Ty? I
can't remember, man. It's so far back.
Long time ago.
I think he was.
They'll be firmly in the middle. They'll be well coached, which I think Villanova fans understand and appreciate. Yeah. We'll see how it goes.
It'll be interesting
because I do like Matthew Hodge. I think he's a nice player.
I think it's just the long-term trajectory is going to be interesting, because when I think of Kevin Willard, I think of those Seton Hall teams that were like rugged and tough, and Miles Powell and these dudes that are just going to kind of like beat you up physically, and then oh, by the way, you might score 65 points, and that's all they're going to need to be able to win. So, and then you go to Villanova, and it's just not going to be the same kind of a team and the same kind of a roster. All right, I want to get into the power rankings. You guys tell me if there's anything that you think is off. Okay, I'm going to do it by tiers. So or tires, as Tio likes to say. So the title,
I'll never live that one down.
No, that's one of the funniest things that I've ever heard in my entire life. The title tier for me is UConn and St. John's. It's going to be one of those two. I think they're both good enough to win a national title, and I don't think that there's any other teams that will be able to crack that. They'll lose a couple games, but I don't think anybody else is good enough to be able to push them for a regular season championship. Agree or disagree? Good.
Agreed. Yep. I think Creighton flirts with them.
Yeah, I think that Creighton is probably the third best team. So the next tier is the teams that I think get to the tournament, right? I think Creighton is a tournament team. I think Marquette is a tournament team, and I think Providence is a tournament team. I think those are, for me, it goes 3, 4, 5. You can tell me whatever order you want. I probably would have Creighton 3, but then Providence and Marquette for me are there. And then the next three, the kind of like the bubble-ish sleeper kind of a tier, is Villanova, Georgetown, and Butler. I'll talk about Butler in a second, but is there any way that you would kind of shake up? So those 6, right? Creighton, Providence, Marquette, Butler, Villanova, Georgetown. I think you could make an argument to me that any one of those 6 is going to finish third in the conference, and I think that you probably could have a pretty valid argument there.
Switch Georgetown and Providence.
Okay. All right.
Paranoia is back, baby, according to T.O.
I think if they don't make the tournament, they're right on the bubble. That's where I think Georgetown's at.
Well, Georgetown's scheduled better this year. Mm-hmm. Yet another team that has an early game to circle, and it comes the second Saturday of the season against Terrence Oglesby's Clemson Tigers. and the game is in DC.
Yes.
These are the games. Like, if you are going
You got to win that one. If
corner,
you're going to be a tournament team, you got to beat Clemson at home.
yeah, like,
And
again, this is
you got to have fans show up for it too, man. Like if you're a Georgetown fan and you're listening to this, like get out to the friggin' arena, guys. Like you got to be able to create some kind. I know it's tough. I know it's far from campus. I know it's a pain to get to. I lived in
it's
DC
a
for 10
Saturday,
years.
man.
I get it. Like if you want them to be good, you got to turn. What is it now? Cap One Arena, whatever the hell it's
Cap
called.
One.
You got to turn that into a fortress. You have to be able to make your home games impossible to win. That's how you have success in this conference, because that's what it's like at Providence. That's what it's like at Gamble and at the Civic Center. That's what it's like at MSG for St. John's. That's what it's like at Marquette. That's what it's like. You got 17,000 people showing up for a game in Omaha, Nebraska. If you're in Washington, D.C., you can find a way to be able to make it there. It's not as dangerous as people will tell you that it is. I promise you.
I'm not willing to blame the fans for not showing up. I'm willing to blame the people who work in the ticket office, because if they pick up the phone any worse, there's no way they can get in anyway because they can't find tickets.
All right. Keep moving. What else you got?
All right, I'm going to make my pitch for Butler, and then we're going to get into awards and bold predictions. All right, my pitch for Butler. I think Butler's going to be in the mix for a tournament here, a tournament bid. Jalen Jackson is a stud at the point. They really like Finley Bizjack coming back. I've heard that the best player on that roster in the summer has been Michael Ajayi, who was awesome at Pepperdine, went to Gonzaga, didn't really fit with what Mark Few wanted to do, and now I think he's one of these like post-hype transfers that could come in and be like a borderline all-league guy. And the TO, I'm sure you've seen this kid, Efiosa Oliagu Alaber. I hope I got your name right. Is like a top 150 freshman, but he is a freak athlete that they're going to play some minutes at the point, who's going to get out in transition, who was awesome against the Team USA in the U19s. There's going to be
strong athlete, broad shoulders, can't throw it in the ocean with his feet in the water, but he does everything else.
There's going to be a couple times this season where he dunks on somebody that he'll be a Sports Center top 10 play. Yep.
Jamie Kaiser.
Oh yeah, too.
Jamie Kaiser.
Good.
I've heard from guys who went up and watched their practice that he's been good. Jamie Kaiser.
All right, I want to make sure we mention everybody. So the bottom of the league, DePaul.
Yep.
They missed out on the Brazilian kid that was because they couldn't get him into school. I'm blanking on his name. They should be better, but still not quite to the point where I think that they're going to be like in a bubble conversation. Xavier, they lost the kid from Evansville. I just think that they have a lot of good pieces. They don't have a star. And then Seton Hall, Fanta, sorry about your Pirates, but I think that they're going to be bringing up the rear again in the Big East. I don't see it this year with that group. Got anything to add? Either of you?
Well, I do think DePaul is tracking better. And I wouldn't be surprised if they actually surprise some people and emerge a little bit more than you're saying. And
Caleb Banks a good fit for Holtman. I'm like what he likes to do.
He is. And remember, they have some continuity. You know, Leighton Blocker, CJ Gunn, and NJ Benson were involved in a lot of big games last year. And you know, DePaul went on the road to UConn, gave them a ball game. They gave a couple of teams a couple of scares from time to time. So it's one of those programs, one of the three that you just mentioned, is going to give a reason for encouragement by season's end. And I'll be curious to see who it is. I mean, maybe it is Richard and Xavier. With Seton Hall, the entire roster is new, and it should be based on how they fared last year. I thought that they were the worst time major team in the country. So
Trey Parker.
Will see. I mean, that's right. Trey Parker should have a really good season. They are very high on him. He has impressed them. Bud Clark comes in from Merrimack.
Mm-hmm.
There's only one way for that program. There's only one way for that program to go. Like I said with Xavier, Malik Moore, I think is going to be very talented for them. And All Right is one of the best names in this league.
No
but
doubt.
Can they hang in? You know, Anthony Robinson comes in from Virginia, and Trey Carroll's been involved in a lot of big games. This is a different monster. They got a lot of role guys, to your point, Rob. We shall see. But the pathway's there for the Big East to get 6 teams the NCAA tournament. You got to win some games in November and December, man.
I would set the over under at 5.5, and I think it'll be, my guess is 5, but I think that they're going to have more teams in the mix. It also depends on, like, can anyone pick off UConn and St. John's at home? Like you'll have a couple of chances to land marquee wins. You just got to beat those teams at home. All right, preseason awards, preseason player of the year. I got Zuby Ejiofor. I don't know how you can go anyone else. Like he's the reigning Big East player of the year, best player on the best team. You disagree with that at all, T.O., Fanta? Anything?
No, he is the preseason player of the year. Really hard league to make an all conference first team in the preseason.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
His teammate might actually end up winning it at the end of the year, though.
Who?
Yeah,
Bryce?
that's right.
Bryce
or Jackson.
Jackson. I think you can make a strong argument. So we'll get to that in a second. Coach of the year for me, I went with Thad Matta. I think you can make an argument. The TO, if you are as high on Georgetown as you are, it could be Ed Cooley. Should be in that conversation. If Providence is what I think they would be, I think it's Kim English. I think if Marquette ends up being the number 3 team in this conference, you got to look at Shaka for betting on himself and betting on player development. It's wide open to me. I just said Thad Matta because I'm pretty high on Butler.
Yeah, I think Shaka Smart could very well get coach of the year with how his team is performing come season's end when you consider all that they've lost, really the last 2 off seasons, but all they lost, losing Cam Jones, Stevie Mitchell, David Joplin. I think Shaka could be right there for this.
Freshman of the year, it's Braylon Mullins. There's really no other freshman coming in.
Not a league where freshmen have a lot of success. It's so physical.
There's no leagues where freshmen.
But
there's no league where that's the case.
Yeah, at this point, like if you're not like the Cooper Flag level player, obviously, like we're talking about guys other than like Cooper and Camp Boozer. Right. Why you give me that look?
Yeah, ACC has the benefit of some off games and whatnot.
Yeah. All right, transfer of the year.
It's really tough to go play at the Rock.
Yeah, right.
It is.
Transfer of the year. I went with Silas Demery because I think he's going to come in and have a Tristan Newton level impact. Ian Jackson.
Yeah.
Let me pick somebody not named one of those 2 guys. Let me take a look here. I'm going to go with Jason Edwards. No, Jalen Sellers. I'm going with Jalen Sellers. Jalen Sellers. If I didn't pick the first 2, I think that Sellers is going to have a huge year.
All right.
Huge.
We'll end it with this. Give me a bold prediction. Fanta and then T.O. One bold prediction.
Villanova makes the tournament. They're in the tournament. They get in, and I don't know what they do beyond that, but they are going to be a tournament team.
T.O.?
Georgetown makes the tournament.
Wow. That now you have put them on the table, and you are going all. This is going to be.
Yeah. You kind of talked me into it a little bit. Like I'm kind of. I think you kind of.
Brian Roth wrote about this. I don't know if you guys saw. Brian Roth wrote in the last week that he made the case. Rolf R-A-U-F.
Never heard of him.
Oh,
never heard of him.
Rolf. Yeah, go ahead.
I know it's right. Yeah, I know your thought. I'm just breaking his balls. Go ahead, Fanta.
The case for Georgetown.
Brian made a case for Georgetown being good and he's very well researched and does a really good job. And in the piece, he laid it out there. So Terrence might have something here. I will say this: if Georgetown is a tournament team and hanging in the mix, that really makes the Big East fun because then you got St. John's, UConn, and Georgetown. Oh yeah,
by the way, I say all those things about the SID at Georgetown, get tongue in cheek. I mean, I would like for her to pick up the phone, but outside of that, if you live in DC, what's holding you up from watching good basketball at Georgetown, man? Like
the traffic in the metro,
now.
The traffic in
it's
the metro
now. It's there. Get there.
Traffic in the metro.
Plan ahead. Get there.
And the biggest issue is there is no public transportation.
There's also no middle-sized stadium. You go from the court that they have on campus to 22,000 or whatever.
They have a high school gym on campus, and then they have an NBA arena. They need they need an 8,000 seat venue is what they need.
Yes,
that's what they need. They need an 8,000 seat.
There's no middle ground. If there was a middle ground for an atmosphere, it would be great.
But DC is the same. If you win some games, people are going to come.
Yep. All right. I guess since you're doing it, Fanta, and T.O.'s doing it, I'm going to have to do it. Providence makes the NCAA tournament. There you go.
There it is. There's our 3 picks. Yes.
Yep. We got 8 teams making it from the Big East. We got UConn,
No, we
St. John's, Creighton, Marquette, Providence, Villanova, Georgetown. They're all making
No,
it.
you've each gone on a wagon. I'm
Yep.
riding the Villanova red wagon. Terrence is riding
Kimmy,
the
don't
Georgetown
let me down. Kimmy, don't
red
let me
wagon.
down.
And Rob is riding the Providence red wagon. And two of us are probably going to be wrong. And one of us I actually think is going to be right.
I hope so. Listen, this has been the DTF podcast, Big East preview here. We're going to be rolling through all of the Power 5 conferences over the course of the next month. Hard to believe college basketball season is less than 6 weeks away.
Craziness.
Can't wait.